African bloc IGAD says the further extension is neither desirable nor feasible in the implementation of a peace deal in South Sudan. President Salva Kiir on Sunday received a 5-day deadline from the East African nation bloc to decide on state boundaries in the country. Kiir and rebel leader Riek Machar also have until February 22nd to form a power-sharing agreement. The establishment of the transitional authority has been delayed twice last year. Kiir and Machar met on Sunday in Ethiopia on the sidelines of the African Union summit, but they made no breakthrough to resolve their dispute over the number of regional states. This has been a contentious issue because the borders will set out divisions of power and control in the country. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has also piled pressure on the South Sudan rivals, telling them it is unacceptable not to join forces in government ahead of the deadline. Well, for more on that story, as well as the latest from the African Union Summit, we're now joined by CGTN's Chala, who is in Addis Ababa. Giram, thank you so much for joining us. Giram, we understand that IGAD will not be extending the deadline to form the government of national unity in South Sudan. What more can you tell us, and what happens if the deadline is not met?
So let's begin with why the African Union or other parties in this peace process are not willing to extend this deadline of forming the transitional government of national unity, because there has been so much time that has been lost in the middle when South Sudan is grappling with so many challenges, including war and other problems. People of South Sudan are suffering, so the international community is growing intolerant about these things. They are saying that we have given the parties time more than that is required to bring this peace into reality. So the African Union or IGAD or UN or other parties included in this process are not willing to extend an inch to the deadline that has been already given to the two sides. One. Two, what more can be done is the question here. The African Union time and again has been saying, okay, we'll be placing sanctions against South Sudan. You know that the United States is part of the South Sudan peace process, as China is at the same time. There are travel bans by the United States, which can also be taken as measures taken by the parties in this peace process, and also freezing assets and other things have been tried before. So other drastic measures which are not exclusively talked about can be taken against the parties which are part of this process, more specifically the government of South Sudan and that of Riek Machar's group. But we don't exactly know what's going to happen. But for now, we know that the African Union and other parties are so firm that they are not willing to move an inch from the deadline.
Giram, talking about the African Union, let's talk about the Heads of State Summit, which has come to a close now. What measures are expected to come from that meeting, specifically on the issue of security on the African continent?
As you know, the theme this year, 2020 African Union Heads of State Summit, is silencing the guns and creating conducive environment for development. Now, these two things are very important for the African Union. You know that the 50 years plan of the continent, Agenda 2063, is now struggling to show success. Why? Because of the insecurity in the continent, conflict here and there, to mention in Libya, for instance. The Sahel situation is alarming every single day. Somalia is still a problem that is not solved. The Central African Republic, Mali. So heads of state here are saying, okay, look, we have not achieved 2020 to silence our guns, but can we achieve it as soon as possible? So we are expecting, one, the rescheduling of this silencing the guns by 2020 plan. But the sooner they are going to do it, the better for the plans that they have in mind to achieve, which is the development aspect of it. So what we are expecting is, yes, the 2020 silencing of the guns will be extended a little bit as a project, a plan from the continent, one. Two, but more commitment from member states is expected, as perhaps a resolution that is going to come out tonight, perhaps around midnight Addis Ababa time. So this is the most important decision that we're expecting. But the others, financing of the union, because member states need to contribute because financial independence is needed, and also about other development situations, economic situations, including the Africa Continental Free Trade Area decisions, need to be made so that these things can be seen on the ground in reality. But peace and security is the agenda. We're expecting stronger resolutions to come out soon.
Definitely a major challenge that a lot of people on the African continent are hoping there will be solutions to. Thank you so much, Chala, joining us live from Addis Ababa.